Hello friends, welcome to the lab. You might have used this kind of sensor in your projects, and this is called a touch sensor. And in this project, I'm going to break down this touch sensor into its equivalent circuit. And in this circuit, I'm using two LEDs to indicate the gentle touch and the strong touch. So if I touch this wire gently, you can see only the red LED is glowing. But if I touch this wire strongly, you can see both the LEDs are glowing. Okay, so red LED indicates gentle touch and green LED indicates the strong touch. So let's understand this project. Now before move on to the working of the circuit, let me quickly show you the circuit connection. So I have connected the cathode of both the LEDs on the negative rail of the breadboard, and for this project you will require a resistor value of 1 to 1.5 mega ohm, but I could not find a single resistor of that value. So I am using two resistors, each of value 510 kilo ohm. So they will both give a total resistance of 1020 kilo ohm. Now what you need to do, you need to connect the negative rail of the breadboard to the ground of the Arduino. And connect both the LEDs to the digital pin of the Arduino. Now take two jumper wires, connect one jumper wire to the first end of the first resistor and connect this another end to any of the digital pin. And take out another jumper wire, connect one end of the wire to the last end of the second resistor and connect this other end to any of the digital pin. Now the last wire would be connected to the same end of the second resistor. Okay, so this is the complete circuit connection for the project. Now the explanation of this code may look quite tricky to you, but don't worry, I will make you understand it. So in this code, I am importing CapacitiveSensor.h library. If you want to install it, simply go to the library section and search for CapacitiveSensor. And you have to install it this library by Paul Badger. So I have already installed it, that is why I am not getting the install option here. Okay. Now in this line, I am defining one object for CapacitiveSensor library, and it is taking two inputs 5 and 4, which are the digital pins on the Arduino. And you can use any other pin also, no problem. 5 is acting as a transmitting pin and 4 is acting as a receiving pin. And in this circuit diagram, if you see, the free end of this blue wire, which is this highlighted end, is acting as a capacitor. Okay, but when we study the capacitors, we generally consider two conductors separated by an insulating material. And when we study the single conductor as a capacitor, the other part is considered as infinity. Okay, so this highlighted end is grounded via the air around it and also its surrounding environment. Okay, and here two thresholds are defined for the strong touch and the gentle touch, and you can tweak these two values based on how much sensitive you want your project to be. Okay, so this is for the green LED and this threshold is for the red LED. And green LED is connected to pin number 6 and red LED is connected to pin number 8. And in the setup function, both the LEDs are defined as output. Now, before discussing this loop function, first of all, let me discuss about the working of this entire circuit. So in this circuit diagram, if you see, the pin which is connected to first terminal of the resistor is pin number 5, which is the transmitting pin, and pin number 4, which is connected to other terminal of the resistor, is the receiving pin. So pin number 5 starts sending the electrical pulses to pin number 4. Okay, and this resistor, which is of high value, let me show you the value of this resistor. It is of 1 mega ohm, right? So this resistor slows down the charging from pin number 5 to pin number 4. So basically what we are doing here, we are charging the free end of this wire using this resistor, and whether we touch the free end or don't touch the free end, in both the cases this gets charged using this resistor, right? And what is the use of this capacitive sensor library? This library basically calculates the time until this receiving pin, which is pin number 4, goes from low state to high state. Okay, and when this pin goes from low state to high state, the voltage at this terminal 2 becomes equal to the threshold value. So the time is measured using the formula which you can see over your screen, tau is equal to R times C. And why do we use high resistor value in this case? Because if the resistor value is too much low, the charging of this receiving pin, which is pin number 4, would be too fast. Okay, and the time taken to observe the state change of this pin number 4 from low state to high state would be very low and insignificant. So to make the time significant and could be used somewhere in the code, we usually keep the resistor value too much high, usually in mega ohms, right? Now let's understand what happens when we touch the free end of this wire, which is connected directly to this receiving pin. So when we touch the free end, what happens? We also add the capacitance of our body to the capacitance of this free end. And because of that, the charging time increases because the resistance value is constant, but the capacitance increases. So according to this equation, the charging time, which is tau, also increases. And in both the cases, that is the gentle touch and the strong touch, in both the cases, time increases. But in case of gentle touch, time increases a little less. But in case of strong touch, the time increases a little more. So that is why you see here the threshold for the strong touch is 2500, which is greater than the threshold of gentle touch. Now let's discuss about the void loop function. And this line is very important in this entire loop. Okay. And in this line we are passing 30 value to the capacitive sensor object. And why we are doing this? Because as I told you that the transmitting pin constantly sends out the electrical pulses to the receiving pin to charge it completely. And when this receiving pin gets completely charged, what happens? It goes from low state to high state. Okay. And the capacitive sensor library notes down the time when this receiving pin goes from low state to high state. And after noting the time, this library discharges the receiving pin and it repeats the process. So this 30 value is representing the total number of samples of the measurement. So this 30 value is representing the total number of samples of the measurement of the time noted down by this level. So this 30 value is representing the total number of samples of the measurement of the time noted down by this capacitive sensor library. Okay. And finally this library giving us the average value of those 30 number of samples. Okay. And we are storing that average value into the sensor value variable. And you can use any other value instead of 30. There is no problem in that. Now if the sensor value is greater than the threshold of a strong touch, we are turning on the green LED. Otherwise the green LED will turn off. And similarly for gentle touch. Okay. If the sensor value is greater than threshold gentle, the red LED will be on. Otherwise the red LED will be off. So I hope you have understood the project, and if you want me to build a project using the touch sensor, or if you have any doubts regarding this project, let me know in the comment section, and we will meet with a new project in another video. Till then, goodbye.